Hey, my YouTube family, it's Kadisha. And if you are just joining this channel, have just subscribed, welcome. I want to just tell everybody a little bit about the channel, even if you've been here for a while and you kind of dip in and out and you're like, oh, okay, we got yoga today. She's reflecting today. This channel, it was really important for me to make this channel a melting pot of all of the things that keep me well, so that I can encourage everybody else to look at wellness in a more expansive way. You know, it's what you're creating out into the world each and every day, right? Through using your voice, through your relationships, through the presence in the relationship you have with yourself, through sharing, through compassion for yourself first and foremost, and then extending that to others. And I'm showing you all the different aspects of yoga, from when I go on detoxes, from when I'm cooking something new, and just remembering that being creative is all of these things, right? It's trying new things, it's trying new ways of living life with ease. That's what creativity is for me. With ease, with pleasure, with joy, with fulfillment. That's what yoga is. And so that's why creativity is a big part of your yoga practice. Though we often see just the asana poses, which is the physical poses, the physical practice publicized, is so much more than that. You know, it really is an immersion into yourself, into life, and choosing really to live life versus just to, you know, subscribe to existing in whatever way, but really just allowing yourself to be present with what is and to live. And living, a big part of living is feeling, y'all. And so I talk about feeling a lot on all my pages. If you know me personally, you know that I'm a sensitive person. You know that I'm a person that also feels, specifically when it comes to people and energy. And it's so important to feel, because our feeling, the level of feeling that we allow ourselves to have, you know, that really invites us to tap into our intuition and to really start being guided and led by it. So I really wanted to share that. The last couple of weeks have been challenging for me. I'm not even going to front. During this period of retrograde, we talked about retrograde, and I think yesterday I heard someone say, one of the YouTube readers I watch, say that there are 6 planets in retrograde right now. So let me just explain to you guys, if you don't subscribe to all these things cosmically and the planets and all of that, for me, it is my belief that it's all connected, right? It's my knowing, okay, that it's all connected. The sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, all of it is all connected to us, the earth as well. We're all connected. And so when certain things happen to our planet, to the planets in our solar system, it does affect us. And then astrology is a whole nother topic that I'm not an expert on. However, I am so passionate about and so into learning more about. And so I often check in that way, you know, and I just use all of these tools to just have a better understanding of my spiritual, soulful, and human existence. So so it's really you know, mind, body, soul, spirit, all the parts of me. So I use all of these different tools and all of this wisdom and information that's out there. I sift through it and I take what I need and I leave the rest. And so I encourage you all to do the same. You know, I've just approached this in a very open-minded, open-hearted way when it comes to well-being, and just looking at the whole person, which is me, right? And which is you. So you guys know, you know, what I do is holistic wellness. So we talk about the whole person, which is why our breath is so important. Our body is important. The state of our mind is important. So I had a challenging couple of weeks. A lot of responsibilities I have, and you know, I talk about that sometimes. And we all do, right? We know adulting is something that has different seasons. You know, some of those seasons are full of ease, some of those seasons are, you know, extremely challenging and present us opportunities for growth and expansion. So that's what I like to find in those times. But sometimes it's not easy to find that right in the moment. And so the other day I had one of those moments. I had let my recycling piled up, and I knew I had to make a certain amount of money this month, you know, to take care of my household and some other things. And everything was kind of weighing down on me. And, business has been slow over the past few months. And at the same time, I'm doing, you guys know that I Uber sometimes, and I work contracts in the name of yoga, and I do other things. Done some great things though. Joined a community here in Atlanta, the Gathering Spot, and that's been, creating some expansiveness in my life, and I'm so grateful for it. That's a whole nother blog though. We'll get into that another time. But the moment that I had in the parking lot as I finished doing my recycling, it's really hot out here, so y'all gonna see me sweating. But I wanted to make sure I checked in and I did this video. Give me a second, somebody's really loud behind me. For some reason, every time I go to do these videos, there's like loud talking. But I really feel like it's a calling for me to go right into my practice and to keep going in the spirit of what it is my intention is. And so this is very important. It's very important that this is happening around me. So last time I was in the parking lot, I was doing my recycling, and I'm gonna let these people go by. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna take a breath. Take a breath with me. Would you look at that? I decided to pause and they got silent. They disappeared just like that. This is a message for off of our mat as well, okay? So if you take that moment to pause and be present with yourself and just say, you know what, I'm not gonna try to push through this or talk over it, or, like I was trying to do initially. I'm going to take a moment and just pause and let this moment pass, okay? I'm gonna surrender. And essentially what I did in that moment with my breath and taking a breath and a pause, I just surrendered. I was like, this lady is just gonna keep talking loud because she's having a conversation. She has no clue of what I'm doing. She's living her life, I'm living my life. Right? But as human beings, we get irritated when stuff happens and we be trying to do something and it's like, why are you here? Why are you interrupting? Why are you interrupting what I'm doing? Okay, so I think the biggest misconception about me practicing yoga too is that I never get frustrated or get an attitude. I get an attitude. I get frustrated. Let me say this. Let me put it this way. I feel frustrated sometimes. I do have an attitude on some occasions, but I know to use my breath to bring me back to a state of like, oh, okay, wait. Let's reset. So, doing my recycling, I just felt this heaviness on my body. It was crazy. And it wasn't crazy. It was, something I felt before. Kind of like carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, but you got more. It just was a lot of energy. Just energy overload, y'all. And so I started thinking to myself, first thing I did was, the weight was so heavy. I was like, is this mine? And I took an account of everything that had gone on throughout this month. Every event, every type of person, every individual, every story that was told to me, every piece of advice or bit of help or whatever it is I was called upon to do this month, and how I showed up and how other people showed up and how environments and all of these things happen. I looked at that and I was like, man, you've been to a lot of networking events this month. And you also, there was one in particular that I showed up at that intuitively I was kind of like, I'm not gonna go, but then I went, and it was right for me not to show up there. But at the same time, it was good that I did show up there, because it was just confirmation that this organization was one that I was not going to ever show up to any of their things again, unless like Usher was there or something. So I mean, we have parameters, and Usher, a few other people, I can't think of them all right now, but anyway. But for the most part, I was like, I'm done with networking events for a little bit, okay? Because I feel like I went to one specific event that gave me so much, and it was the Fearless Fund Venture Capital Summit, and it was one of the best networking events I have ever gone to. I met women who actually are still in connection with me today. I have a whole list of resources and contacts and And it was just an amazing, inspirational experience. You know what I mean? And at the same time, it was a bit overwhelming because you go to these events. It was overwhelming in a sense as a business owner, because you're always, when you go to these events, sometimes you just think like, damn, I thought I was prepared. I thought I was doing this. I thought I was doing that. And I got to work on this and I got to work on that. So you leave sometimes with an entire list of to-dos added to what you already had. And I had to just check myself for a moment and say, hold on, you're doing enough. You are enough. What you have is enough. Right now, what we are doing is expanding, and we're working toward getting extra, because all our needs are met. And so I have to remind myself of that at times. And it's so easy in our society today, where we see it's such a, a society that pushes productivity, that pushes people, showing off 6 figures and more, and this and that and the other. Everybody has a earn 6-figure course for you, right? And so I really had to get back to understanding that success is my breath. Success is me showing up every single day. Success is my journey, because my journey is unique in that I couldn't bypass my trauma work and my inner work and just say, I'm gonna work like a dog and then take care of me later. And so that's posed this challenge for me in regards to like creating a balance in between, because I have to work inward to work outward. And so sometimes I'm either like, when you're outward and you're networking and stuff, you're on. And so in that moment in the parking lot, I realized not only did I have all these responsibilities, but what took me a bit off focus is being on, it's trying to show up at everything, trying to have every conversation, trying to keep every single meeting, and there were some that I didn't, but for the most part I did. I showed up a lot physically for things, for people, for my business, for myself, so while it was all beneficial, it was a moment where I realized I needed more than a bed rest. I needed an energetic rest. And so in that parking lot, I began to cry and listen to, in that moment, the song that came to mind was Sam Cooke, A Change Gonna Come. And I said I was going to tell a story because a girlfriend of mine actually reached out to me and told me she was having a tough week. But I proceeded to play on repeat Sam Cooke, A Change Gonna Come, because I remember the last event I went to, I felt as though, I was in an environment where there wasn't love. There wasn't a genuine interest in helping me elevate. And I showed up there in spite of having that experience before with the same organization. But I had hoped I would make some lucrative connections there, not allowing that to sway me from expanding my business. So I'm grateful to me for still showing up and seeing what if you show up, and I think it's important for us to have that attitude in life. Like, stop being afraid to say yes and stop being afraid to say no. They both have a place, and the reality of it is, when we want to expand, when we want to grow, when we are transforming, when we are healing, when things are changing in our life, sometimes we have to face certain things head on, so that no longer do we walk in a place and feel like we don't belong or there's nothing there for us, because even if there is nothing there in the way of our expectation or our idealism, there's something there in the way of our own growth and transformation. And for me, what was there in that moment was, I'm not going to anything that looks like this. And then the other part of it was, I am going to take a break. And then the other part was also realizing that all of the energy that I was carrying wasn't only mine. And so I was like, okay, so in a minute you're gonna have to take a people break. So I knew I was going to something this week. I know I'm going to a big event this week where I'm going to be around people, which is fine. I had a great week last week though. I went dancing, I did things, and so I think it's been a challenge. Let me stop saying it's been a challenge. I think it's been, well, I think I've felt a bit challenged. Let's say that. I felt a bit challenged with balancing my social, my work, and my family life, as well as my self-care. even though I've been doing the best I can in all the arenas, right? When I put social life back in the mix, it's like, oh, I'm tired now. You know, went dancing last week and it was so much fun. I said, I'm gonna take myself dancing. First I said every week. Now it's every other week because I don't want to overdo it. You know, okay, so take yourself physically out to dancing every other week because you're gonna be around so many people, so much energy. Right? And so we have to understand that. We have to understand what type of energy we're absorbing in every environment, you know, even if it's a fun environment. You know, energy is energy. Everybody's bringing something, everybody's carrying something different. When I walk into class and I teach yoga and I say, what are you bringing to the mat? What are you bringing to the club? What are you bringing to the office? Everybody's carrying something. Everybody's bringing something with them, right? Some people are carrying love. Some people are carrying all their woes and they're getting drunk that night. You know, everybody's bringing something. Right? And so you got to think about that when you're around that energy. What they bring in now has been brought to you energetically to a degree. Okay, so you got to go home and you got to clear, you got to cleanse your energy, and you got to be intentional about it. You got to sit with yourself and you got to take a little bit of a break. And so that's where I'm at now. But I'm so grateful. When I cried and I repeated that song, I mean, I know the people who were recycling were like, dang, what's wrong? But I was so grateful that nobody came over and asked me, was I okay? Because they would have interrupted my catharsis, you know? And sometimes we don't understand that. We see people crying, and I get it. You know, our natural reaction is to ask, are you okay? Which is fine. But in that moment, that wasn't what I needed. And so I believe I manifested that moment of just me being in them tears. In that moment, kneeled over in my car and just letting myself cry. And then acknowledging all of the things that I have been able to do to provide for me and my family without having a husband or a man, and running a small business and driving Uber and doing DoorDash here and there, and, you know, staying connected with my clients and my community as best as I can, and still creating opportunities for my business to grow, to scale, to reach people primarily, right? To reach people and turn all of the energy I'm putting out into the currency that I need to not only help myself, to help others. So I was grateful. And I just, you know, after that, I remember, I think that day or the next day, I got a call from one of my principals that I worked with, you know, asking me to come to their school. I got another call from somebody else asking me to do an event. I mean, it was just one of those days, but I decided to trust in that moment. I decided to cry. I decided to be vulnerable and say, you know what, it's a lie right now. And it's okay. We're going to cry. We're going to let this out. And then guess what? We're going to go ahead and do what it is we have to in this moment to take care of the things that are at the forefront of our mind, that are of priority. We're going to do that unapologetically. And we're going to take breaks when we need to. And we're going to cry if we need to. We're going to pray when we need to. We're going to meditate when we need to. So just really giving myself that pep talk. But see, I couldn't give myself that pep talk or be my accountability partner if I didn't have a foundation of holistic wellness. And this is before therapy. This is me journaling. This is me learning that expressing myself and releasing my emotions in some form or fashion that is not cussing somebody out is better than losing my shit. For me, primarily, energetically, and for that other person. Because as Maya Angelou says, your legacy is what you make people feel, is how you make people feel. Can I attest to making everybody feel good? No, it's not going to happen, because sometimes your energy just don't mix with certain people, and sometimes you got to tell somebody off and stand up for yourself in a certain way where they understand you ain't playing. And sometimes you've been in that state of overwhelm, myself included, where you let things kind of sit for a minute, or you just been having a season that's been like, man, it's challenging. And so somebody come and say the slightest thing or do the slightest thing and you might pop. That's happened to me before. But this practice ensures that it don't happen 100 or 90 or 80 or 70 or 60 or 50 or 40 or 30% of the time. Shoot, I don't even think it happens 20, no more. So I just wanted to share that with you. And what came to me in that moment of listening to A Change Gonna Come repeatedly was, don't stop. Because there's a rough patch. I need you to take a break when there's a rough patch. I need you to allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you're feeling, validate that, cry through it, then breathe through it, then sit and dissect whatever's left. Acknowledge it and then start letting it go. Start letting it go and start asking God, your spiritual team, to walk with you, to be with you, because you know that it is God that carries you through these seasons when you're overwhelmed. And so don't forget that in those moments where it seems like everybody around you is doing the damn thing or traveling or this or that and the other. Get off Instagram, get off wherever, and subscribe to, I always tell people, post and go. Sometimes by default, guess what, when you log in, you see that first post, and it could be a post that is highlighting something that you want for yourself that has not yet manifested. In those moments, I need you to have a moment of happiness for that person. And if you can't do that, I need you to log out and sit with why you can't, and not judge yourself for that, but sit with it and ask God to let go of whatever is in the way of you being happy for other people's success. Because if you can't be happy for someone else's success, how can you embrace your own? I need water. That was big. And I believe it was just a reminder for me. Not that I'm, there are people I'm happy for. And then there are people, and here's when it comes up for me. You may have experienced when somebody has done you wrong and you see them doing extremely well and you are like, whoa, people don't even know who this person is. That's not yours to take on. That's a call for you to focus on you. It's to turn your focus inward and to block, unsubscribe, do whatever you need to do with that person, right? So that's where I'm at, you guys. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and log off, but I want to leave you all with some affirmations for this week that I actually, normally I listen to my affirmations, I told you that, but this week I actually took time to recite them. So, and I'm going to make it short with these two, just in case you don't watch the entire video. I unconditionally love and approve of myself. I am fully equipped and adequate to do that which is required of me. My mind, body, soul, and spirit are in perfect alignment. I am a divine, infinite being operating through the body and the mind. Success and money accompany me right here and now. I am prosperous in all of my endeavors. People now support me in an easy, effortless, and pleasurable way. I support others now in an easy, effortless, and pleasurable way. Have a wonderful day, y'all. Please remember to speak life, love, compassion, and nurturing words into yourself, okay? I might have said that upside down, but please remember to be compassionate with yourself. Extend grace. Direct love inward, even more than you do outward, so that when you do direct it outward, it's coming from your overflow. I love you all, and we'll be practicing yoga soon on the channel. Please remember to stop, pause, and take a breath today. Last but not least, this morning, my son got in the car and I asked him, did you do your moment of meditation? He said, yes. I said, you do know when I said 60 seconds, that was a start. That's not the finish. Okay? And I didn't word it like that. I said, that was a start. It's actually not enough for the long haul. You know, the 60 seconds is opening you up so that you can start to now say, okay, I did 60 and it's been consistent for how many years? I looked at him because he's 11. So he's been doing 60 seconds for a while. He's done longer with me, but I'm talking about by himself. So I said, you really need at least a minute for every hour in the day. But it's hard for me to do it throughout the day, Mom. I said, you don't have to do it throughout the day. I said, you can do the 60 seconds throughout the day. It's easy. I said, you know, you can meditate with your eyes open, right? For 1 minute. He said, yeah. And I said, what I really want you to focus on is in the morning, how you get up and how you go to bed. So what you start with and what you end your day with. Meditate. Those 2 times primarily. He said, okay. But I realized I had to address that with him. And I realized I have to address that with my community as well, because I talk about 60-second pauses. That's not the end-all be-all, y'all. That's creating space. That's bringing your awareness to your breath, your body, your feelings in the moment, so that you can then start to develop a practice that is more expansive. And you start to realize, like I said, my holistic wellness regimens are constantly changing. Who knew going out and dancing would be one of those things? But understanding that we are social beings as well, right? Human beings are social. So you need that energy of other people, crowds around you, dancing, all of that once in a while, not all the time. I'm not a club, whatever person. So just understanding and getting to know yourself. That's what this journey is doing for you. So as you get to know yourself, you get to know, okay, what is it that I need more of? Or what are some of the things that bring me joy that may not look like, doesn't have to be that, right? That's always going to be a part of my practice, though. I'm going to always take a moment. I'm going to always do my mantras. I'm going to always do my meditation. I'm always have my sound bath. I need that. But I don't need it every day. So it's really designing your wellness practice to align with the type of life that you live. And that's how we find balance. All right. So I love you guys, and I'm sending mine to love you away. Mwah.